So, let's talk about fasting. It's a practice observed by millions around the world, but a lot of the time, we only understand it on the surface. Today, we're going to go deeper.
I mean, that's the first thing that pops into your head, right? Don't eat, don't drink, from sunup to sundown. But is that really the whole story? Well, as we're about to see, that physical part, that's just the ticket to get in the door. The real event is something much, much deeper.
All right, so let's start by peeling back that first layer. We've got to look beyond the physical stuff to really get what this whole spiritual exercise is all about.
You see, the point isn't just to make things hard for the sake of it. The hunger, the thirst, those aren't the actual goals. They're tools. They're designed to help you unlock a whole different state of mind, a different state of being. So if it's not just about having an empty stomach, then what is it really about?
And that leads us right to the heart of the matter, the absolute core of the entire practice. It's a huge concept in Islamic spirituality, and it's all wrapped up in one single powerful word, Taqwa.
And there it is, right in the primary source. The purpose is spelled out, plain and simple. The why behind the fast is laid out from the very start. It's not for your health, not to lose weight. The whole reason is to achieve this state of taqwa.
So what is taqwa? Well, think of it like this. It's about creating a kind of spiritual buffer zone. It's you consciously putting a safe distance, a protective barrier between your actions and anything that would displease God. It's basically a state of being super aware, super mindful of your choices.
And you know, this isn't just a fasting thing. Taqwa is like the golden thread that runs through all the major acts of worship in Islam. Whether we're talking about daily prayers, giving to charity, or the pilgrimage to Mecca, the ultimate goal is always to build up and strengthen this inner state of God consciousness. Fasting is just one of the most intense training grounds for it.
Okay, so how does fasting actually build this taqwa? Well, the first way is by acting as this incredibly powerful form of protection, like a spiritual shield.
This is such a profound statement from the Prophet Muhammad. He described fasting using this specific word, Junnah. But what does that actually mean?
A Junnah was a literal physical shield, the kind a warrior would carry into battle to protect himself from swords and arrows. So when fasting is called a shield, it's not just some soft, gentle metaphor. It's a metaphor about active, powerful defense against spiritual attacks.
All right, let's break this down. First, by choosing to give up things that are normally totally fine, like food and water, you're basically training your willpower. You're building up that muscle you need to say no to the things that are actually forbidden. Second, there's the idea that during this month, the influence of evil whispers is weakened, which makes it a bit easier to stay on track. And third, the physical feeling of fasting itself is a constant reminder. You literally can't forget you're fasting, which means you're constantly being reminded of why you're doing it, of your commitment to God.
And that takes us to the next big idea. Fasting isn't just a shield, it's also described as an intensive 30-day school designed to refine your character.
This chart lays it out so clearly. The fast isn't just something happening inside you. It has to show up in how you act. You're supposed to avoid foul language. You're supposed to stay away from loud arguments. And if someone tries to provoke you, you don't bite back. You have a very specific, prescribed response.
And here's what's so powerful about that. Saying I am fasting isn't a sign of weakness. It's not an excuse to run from a fight. It's a declaration of strength. It's a reminder to yourself, first and foremost, that you're holding yourself to a higher standard. And it tells the other person, I'm not going to get dragged down into this.
And just look at the value placed on this. This saying basically puts good character on the same level as some of the most difficult physical acts of worship. It shows that the internal stuff, patience, kindness, self-control, is just as important, maybe even more so than the external rituals.
I absolutely love this analogy. It's so vivid. The idea is that, taming your own ego, your anger, your desires, it's hard work. It's a real challenge, but it's totally possible. I mean, if human beings can train the most ferocious animals on the planet, then we can for sure learn to train and discipline ourselves.
Okay, but this shield of taqwa and this school of character, they don't just happen in a vacuum. There's another huge dimension to this month, a spiritual foundation that you just can't separate from fasting. It's deep, deep connection to Scripture.
This is the whole reason this month is so special. Fasting happens in Ramadan specifically because this is the month when the Quran, the central scripture of Islam, started to be revealed. The two are completely intertwined.
The idea is that the fast prepares your heart to really receive the guidance from the book.
Because of this connection, a huge focus of the month is engaging with the Quran. But there's a really sharp distinction made here. On one hand, you have recitation, just reading the words, and that has its own blessing. But the real goal, the deeper purpose, is something called tadabbur, which is all about deep contemplation. It's an active process of asking, what is this saying to me? How does this guidance apply to my life, right now?
This metaphor of a strong rope is just perfect. Imagine you're lost or on shaky ground, and a rope is lowered down to you from above. That's your lifeline, right? That's how the Quran is described, as a direct connection to truth, a steady guide that can pull you out of confusion. During Ramadan, the goal isn't just to see the rope, but to grab on with both hands, through that kind of deep, meaningful reflection.
So, we've seen fasting is a shield, it's a school for your character, and it's a time for deep connection with Scripture. But how do you know if it's working? What's the real measure of a successful fast?
Wow, this is probably the most critical takeaway of all. It's such a powerful, no-nonsense statement. It basically says that if your fast doesn't make you a better person, if you're still lying or cheating or being unjust, then the act of just not eating or drinking is completely meaningless to God.
And that, right there, is the whole philosophy in a nutshell. The external ritual is just the vehicle for an internal transformation. The hunger and thirst are supposed to spark humility and patience and integrity. If that transformation doesn't happen, well, the vehicle never made it to its destination.
And that leaves us with the final big question. The whole point of this intense 30-day spiritual boot camp isn't just to be a good person for 1 month. It's to build habits, to build discipline, and to build a level of consciousness that you can carry with you for the other 11 months of the year. The fast ends, but the real test is making sure the lessons last a lifetime.